watchers. Yikes. That was dramatic. Cheers. To the VOD watchers. So yeah. We got a doozy for today. I guess I need to change my gloves. I got a guave on them. This is a Ford. I think this is an F-150 radio. And I'm like, yeah, it's old. It's got a cassette player. There's got to be like schematics everywhere and like old guys that repaired these for years, but I can't find shit about this online. So this is gonna be fun. It's a E7A F18K 84.3 AA Ford radio. And the customer states that this here radio never worked as long as he's owned the car. It's a new car to him, you know? He's had it for a while, but, you know, he bought it new to him. You know, also known as a used car. Hey, how's it going? So, yeah, this Ford radio. You know, usually with older stuff like this, you can just find schematics and repair diagrams, and like there's some guy that's been doing this 30 years, and he's made 70 YouTube videos about how to fix these things, but I couldn't find anything about this radio. I saw one guy posting on like the Ford F-150 forums about this radio, and basically all the replies were like, this is about cars, man. We don't know shit about electronics. So, it's gonna be a doozy of a repair. Could be easy, could be hard. Probably gonna learn something along the way. And, there will be finally information about this radio on the internet for the next person that decides, yeah, screw it, I'll try to fix one of those. So, we're gonna get started here. Get this guy open and figure out, what's up. This is one of those funky late night streams, obviously. For you VOD watchers, you saw what happened at the start of the stream. But yeah, we'll figure out this radio. It's one of those things. These are like bent together. Like there's no screws to take out. It's just all sheet metal that's just press fit with these little locking dimples. Should probably be using like a flathead or something for this. Oh yeah, that's the move. Comes right off. It seems like you lift up the back and it untabs there at the front. It's got little 90-degree like elbow tabs up there. There we go. Money shot. Money shot. Okie doke. Looks like I'm looking at the wrong end of this to get anything figured out. A little bit of corrosion in here. This is all very conformally coated. Cool. Good to know. I could definitely find a wiring diagram for this, so I should be able to hook up 12-volt power to it and figure out what the hell is going on with the, at least the AM/FM part of this radio. It's probably going to take me a hot minute to track down a cassette tape to shove in here to see if that works. But I do have them somewhere in a closet. Y'all remember cassettes? Hi, welcome in, guys. So yeah, virtually no information about how this thing works, what's inside of it, how to repair it. So this could be tough. This could be tough. And I'm definitely seeing obvious signs of corrosion here. There's just a crispy burnt capacitor right there. Ooh, I didn't even need to desolder that. It just came right out. Look at this. Look. It's like a burnt marshmallow. Hang on. Yep, burnt marshmallow. just falls apart in your hand. Makes that crunchy sound too. So, yeah, that'll do it. Well, that was easy to diagnose. It's just right there. It's fucking burnt. Yeah, this one's gonna be tough. I can already tell. Yeah, that capacitor down in there is all burnt up. The traces are lifted right off the board. This interconnect between this board and this board, there's like some 90-degree pins there in the corner I see are corroded. This ribbon looks like it's been pretty hot before. There, little heat there. It's like this got really, really way too hot somehow, some way. Like maybe one of those hot summer days. Alternator kicks on, capacitor decides to vent, sprays a conductive electrolyte over everything and shorts it all out. Who knows? Something like that happened. Wow, this is really well built for the era that it comes from. I guess automotive electronics are just from this era. They're generally well built. This is back before they decided, yeah, fuck it, let's make everything disposable garbage. Welcome in, guys. If you have any questions about electronics repair or anything like that, feel free to ask. Any of you guys see, you know, some guys in the community decided to nominate Louis Rossmann for the chair of the FTC. And he saw it and he was like, yeah, screw it, I'll do it. I'd love to see Louis Rossmann in charge of the FTC. That would be a really fun 2 weeks, as he said. Alright, so, yeah. Capacitor's burnt to a crisp up in there. Gonna have to pull that out. At least I can get this front plate unplugged from inside here. Get that out of our way, because that's definitely not the problem. We've got a ribbon cable here. Is that a locking tab? Can't see. Yeah, I think it does have a locking tab. It's one of the lifty ones, I think. Yeah. You don't see that style of ribbon cable connector much anymore. Alright, that's out, and then wiring harness there. The Skittles bag of wires here. We got every color in the rainbow coming out of this connector. There we go. Front plate is free! Man, those are some nice feeling tuning dials there. Like, why can't we have buttons and knobs in our cars that feel this nice? What's the FTC? The Fair Trade Commission. You know, the people that make the rules for, like, what companies can do and how they can't screw you. And regulate things like monopolies and warranty law and stuff like that. So you know how he likes to rant about how, you know, companies are just screwing over the American people and, you know, degrading your rights of ownership and changing license agreements so that they can sell your information and stuff like that. That kind of thing that he's very passionate about. The FTC is in charge of that sort of thing. They're the regulating body that can prosecute companies for, you know, violating the law there. So, like, you know, all those warranty void if removed stickers that are illegal, the FTC would be the only people that could enforce that. So if you put Louis Rossmann at the head of that, you know, those laws might actually fucking mean something. You know? So yeah, that's why I'm kind of excited about that. Is Louis Rossmann has kind of been like the guy that everyone goes and whistleblows to for the last couple of years here. Hell, I've whistleblown to Louis Rossmann. I used to work at chain repair shops. I used to email him all the time, bitching about what Samsung and Apple were doing behind the scenes. At the time, you know, I was reporting anonymously, but yeah, a couple of the videos on his channel bitching about Samsung specifically, because I did a lot of Samsung service when I worked at a chain repair shop. Yeah, I was the guy on the other end of the email. That's kind of, yeah, doing that, like emailing Louis Rossmann about like working for those chain repair shops, how that sucked, and you know, they were being unfair to their customers, and they were part of Samsung's like scumbag programs and stuff. Kind of a big reason why I started my own repair company, because from that insider perspective, it was pretty easy to see that like it doesn't take a whole lot to be just better than like your biggest competition in this industry, which would be, you know, big chain repair shops. I air their dirty laundry on these streams all the time. If it tells you anything, I say this all the time. So those of you that are returning viewers, hi, welcome back. Big chain repair shops like CPR, You Break I Fix, what's that other one? They have them down in the south. They don't have them up here in the Midwest. It's one of the medical meme ones. They all have like a lot of the chain repair shops just kind of copy each other's design language for like branding. And they're all like, yeah, phone hospital, cell phone doctor, wireless ER, smartphone surgeon, PC, fucking, you know what I mean. I'm the PC prescription giver. I'm the greatest technician that's ever lived. But yeah, they all have like that medical motif with their branding, which that really worked well back in the day. Hell, I have really good friends in this industry that have, you know, medic or doctor or ER or hospital in the name of their business, like iPad Rehab, for example. There you go, there's one. Jesse Jones runs one of the best businesses in the world, but like, I don't know. When I started this company, I thought it was a little overdone, right? I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing the that medical motif with our branding. And that's kind of how I came about the name Advanced Device Repair. Let's see. Word, alright. Have you ever considered smelling a rat's fart? Yeah, actually, I legitimately have. I almost went into bioscience as a career. So yeah, I'd be smelling rat farts all day. Ooh, shit, look at that. Oh, she's fucked up. Look at that. Burnt to hell. I don't know if I'm gonna be... Ooh. How many... Oh, it's only a 2-layer board. Only a 2-layer board. We can grind this out. Is it worth it, though? No, I'm gonna have to call his customer. I might do it just to flex. Would I do this, because I think I'm gonna make money off this repair? Hell no. When these boards get carbonized like this, the carbon farting on a rat. Ooh. Yeah. Can't say I've ever considered that. I now feel enlightened that you have made me consider that. Yeah, so when these boards, they get carbonized, as soon as it burns and becomes black like that, that becomes conductive. And that usually ends up, doing that to more parts of the board, and it kind of just spreads until, like, enough of the circuit is broken that there's no more power there. Yeah, honestly, this guy got lucky that his F-150 didn't go up in flames. Let's be honest here. That is very, very fucking burnt. Like, that got hot. If there would have been, like, plastic on the other side of this, it would have surely caught fire. Now, why the hell that happened, your guess is as good as mine. Oh, maybe somebody jumped the the old piece of shit truck with a 24-volt diesel or something, while the radio happened to be on, right? You never know. Especially with a vehicle this old. Yeah. If I weren't streaming and I wasn't about to try to fix this just to flex my repair skills, I would have already called this customer and been like, man, it caught on fire in there. You're fucked. You can buy one of these radios on eBay right now for like $100. And what I normally charge to fix this kind of shit, not worth. More than you could buy a good working radio off eBay for, you know? Yeah, almost double. Like, if this was somebody's $1,000 laptop, I'd fuck with it. You know, off stream. But on stream we have fun, so we're gonna try anyway. For the hell of it. For the hell of it. Also, I'm just curious about how this thing's designed and what's in here, because I couldn't find any pictures of what was inside this model radio, or generally very much information about them at all online when I was looking to see if I could find a schematic before I started streaming this repair. Nothing. Just nothing. Like, there was one forum post on, like, the Ford F-150 owners thread from, like, 2005 or something, and everyone was like, I don't know shit about electronics, why are you asking here? There might be something about this on, like, Bad Caps forums or something. If you want to learn repair, you have, like, a very specific weird repair that you want to try to do, check Bad Caps. Always check Bad Caps forums. There's some crazy guys on there. Crazy guys like me. Why is all that stuff purple when you put it close to the camera? That is the conformal coating. Why is it purple? That might just be for quality control. Because if they use, like, I assume this stuff would normally be clear. But in automotive applications, making sure you cover all of the wave solder joints and all of the SMD joints. Same reason, like, PVC pipe glue is purple, so that you know it got put on there. That's why. Yeah, that's why, like, if you look at PVC pipes that, you know, plumbers have installed, the glue is purple. It's so that the home inspector can see that the pipe's actually glued. Because otherwise you have to pull on the pipe to figure that out. Yeah, this coating would normally just be clear, which it is on most boards. Like, if you look at this HVAC control board, this is a defrost controller. You see how it's a little bit shiny? Same coating, just no dye. So it probably just has to do with, like, these are assembly line units, and there's probably a lot of handwork that's done to these, judging by the era this was manufactured. So there is probably a fair margin for human error here. So it looks like the sheet metal is just hard soldered to the board. So I assume the entire outer shell is like a ground. I mean, it's a radio. You kind of got to have a lot of EMI shielding on these things. Especially back in the day when our electronics weren't quite as good at filtering out noise and stuff. They didn't have, like, noise suppression algorithms that are digital. And, you know, you're using all analog signals, so... Like, any modern radio is going to take an analog signal from the antenna and instantly convert it into a digital signal after, like, one amplification stage. So that it can be electronically processed. Because that just takes away a lot of the normally bad things about radio. Because, like, the electrical signal a radio receives is, like, tiny. So you gotta amplify it, like, really a lot. A lot of amplification. It could be thousands or millions of times. Or just, like, orders of magnitude. It's orders of magnitude between the signal that's received and the audio that's played. So if you don't take that digital step where the noise and the things that you're not trying to measure are still very small, the more you amplify that noise, the harder it is to remove, you know? So a lot of modern systems have really efficient, integrated, like, one chip can do all of the things I'm talking about, when it would be whole circuit boards over here in this era. You can do all this with, like, hell, a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino. They've got AV and analog inputs. They've got AVRs, DACs. Would they make good radios? Probably not. You'd probably have to add a lot of auxiliary electronics to, like, filter those signals and stuff to make those kind of things good radios. Hi, welcome in, guys. Holy crap, 40 of you. So, yeah. We're gonna see if this can be repaired. Not because, I'm gonna make any goddamn money from this repair. In fact, I'd probably encourage... even if I can repair it, I'm gonna discourage the customer from installing this into his vehicle. Just because the likelihood that it will fail in the future is too damn high. But I want to try to repair it just for fun. Because I'm legitimately questioning whether or not it's possible to even repair. With how, like, for those of you who are just joining us, look at this. Thing fucking lit on fire and exploded in there. This capacitor just crustier than a burnt marshmallow. Just, like, fell out of there. So, yeah. The guy wondered why it didn't work. Well, I found out as soon as I opened the lid. So, you know, if any of you were on the stream earlier today, I was talking about how I hate using solder wick. This is one of those times that I use solder wick. Because I ain't sucking that stuff up into my vacuum station. That's too nice of a tool. Like over here where it's not burnt, I'll happily suck that solder up. But this stuff, ugh. This thing's a pain in the butt to clean. You don't have to clean it very often, but when you clean it out, it's nasty. As you could probably imagine, it's full of burnt solder and flux and stuff. So this is the one time where, like, I will happily wick all day. Crank that iron way up. There's a tip for soldering for you guys. If you're wicking, you want your iron almost as hot as it will go. Especially if you're doing micro soldering stuff. If you're doing micro soldering stuff, you just max out your iron, dude. Because if you let the wick cool down just a little bit too much and it solidifies onto, like, very fine traces, when you go to move it, it's just ripping those traces up with it. That's just how it goes. Man, look at this. I got burnt ash on my repair mat from this thing. There's no way in hell. Well, you see, I say that, but there's only 2 layers to this board as far as I can tell. Is that right? Yeah, this is a 2-layer board, so there's only copper on the top and copper on the bottom. So I need to figure out if that transistor is N channel or P channel, and that's about all I need to figure out to be able to repair it in theory. In practice, it's probably going to be harder than that, but I can just drill all of this out and replace that with wires. Because that board, when it gets this burnt, it becomes conductive. So this is all basically just one blob of wire at this point. I can even demonstrate that with where did the multimeter go? Good question. Here she is. I was doing some Sparky work inside my house today. I installed a whole new circuit breaker, whole new line. I fished some Romex through my house. And I changed out some light switches. When I bought this place, everything was coated in cigarette smoke, so a lot of the switches were like yellow when they were probably originally white. But yeah, if we're gonna fix this burnt shit, gloves coming off because I don't want to put that in my body. Yeah. If I'm gonna do this, I need to wet my whistle. Well, I'm gonna do this. We're taking a shot. But yeah, there's a chance that I get at least some parts of this board working. Cheers, guys. All right. So we got a solder lug there, and is that all that's holding that board in place? It seems so. Okay, it appears so. I'm gonna put gloves back on. I'm gonna come to bed tonight and my wife's gonna be questioning why I smell like burnt rubber and magic smoke if I don't put gloves on. I'll end up like wiping that stuff on my pants or something. Walk across the house. You smell like burning tires, honey. Why do you smell like burning tires? Well, some guy cooked his radio. I still have no idea how this happens. Like, what are your theories here, guys? Like, how did this happen inside a car radio? Did the car get hit by lightning or something? Like, maybe, they touched, the wrong side of the car battery to the frame or something? Yeah, car batteries are pretty spicy, I guess. If they would have, like, shorted positive to frame or something, that could probably do it. I don't know. It could have been like a bad capacitor just leaks a bunch of electrolyte onto the board, because if you're not aware, electrolytic capacitors like this guy, these have liquid in them. So you have like basically a metal strip that's rolled up like a fruit by the foot. It's a fruit by the foot with a like, you know, somewhat conductive electrolyte in it, which is a fluid. And if they get too hot, they can vent. That's why on a lot of these you see like this little plus sign on the top. That's so if like this gets too hot and that fluid boils and turns into a gas, it won't become a tiny little bomb. And if you want to know what I mean by that, I can demonstrate. You see on some of the smaller value capacitors that don't do as much work, they don't bother putting that little plus sign, right? You see, no little plus sign on the top. So there's this little fun thing you can do with these, right? So these are a polar component, meaning they have a positive and a negative side. So if we just hook the positive thing up to the negative side and the negative side up to the positive side, they do this. Come on. There we go. That's what they do. So it's to keep the big ones from doing that. That's why they put that little plus sign on there. That smells lovely. So something like that could have happened inside here. That'll do it. What are your guys' theories? Any idea how something like this could happen inside a car radio? Because I'm about as good as clueless. I've definitely had quite a few repairs come through over the years where I was never able to find a reasonable explanation for what the hell could have possibly happened to a thing like this, unless the customer told me. I was talking the other day on stream about like the craziest phone repair I ever did. I had a customer. See, I live in Ohio, and we have a Honda assembly plant. Honda has a big manufacturing facility here. And one of the workers had dropped his iPhone XS Max into the assembly line with like all the industrial equipment, like welding the bodies of cars together and like hydraulic presses and shit, just like forming pieces of the car. And this phone was fucking, it was U-shaped. It was like this. It was crazy. Um, Somehow I got that thing to work. I got lucky. Like, I was still a fairly new technician when it comes to like doing iPhone stuff. So, yeah. That definitely gave me a lot of bullshit confidence back in the day. It was like, man, I had a phone come in U-shaped and I fixed it. What can't I fix? And well, I started asking that question enough that I found out what I couldn't fix, and then I learned how to fix it. Alright, well that solder's gone, that one's free. And then this one, not quite there yet. It's gonna need a touch more flux. So what traces are we missing here? I've got to do some like investigating. So we got a line that goes here to through hole. That's where the capacitor was here. So I assume this pin is probably our ground, since we've got 2 pins from the capacitor here. And then off to this like resistor that is attached to this SOT23 transistor. Goes to this resistor to a via. Okay. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little traces in there. You see there's 3 traces here that go along there, and then these kind of curve off. So we've got like 3 to 4 little traces in there that are completely burnt out. If I can't figure out where all of those traces went, we're pretty much as good as done with this. So it's, once I grind all this burnt shit off, finding where the copper still is. Underneath all that burnt shit. Because, you know, I could guarantee that I'd be able to fix this if I had a good working one that I had for reference. But without that, I don't know. It just depends what I can figure out grinding away at this thing. So we obviously got 1 big trace there. I don't know if you guys can see it. My camera doesn't do good with the, must be late where you're at. Oh yeah, late night stream. It's like midnight or some shit. Yeah. And we're kind of just wasting time right now seeing if it's even possible to fix, like, this Ford radio. Here's the front plate of it. Beautiful, beautiful radio. Like, it's well put together. You look at the top side of the board, you're like, wow. That's some engineering. There's, like, not an inch of wasted space inside that can. Other way around. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's clearly like 2 copper traces that aren't like completely burnt away there. There's a 3rd one between them, actually. You can see 3 there that I will be able to rebuild once I drill out all the carbonized board. There's another little trace right there, kind of sticking up. But this one area right underneath that capacitor is just like, it's gone. Like, that is a hole straight through the board right there. Which is kind of the goal here, is to get to all of this black, burnt, carbonized stuff, all of that has to go. So, basically, we just got to grind all of that out bit by bit by bit. And then just kind of guess at the component values. We're only missing a capacitor, a couple resistors, and one transistor. And a diode. This diode's probably done for. Yeah, we've got some more carbonization up in this area. But that might be savable. We'll see. This definitely let out quite a bit of smoke on somebody. Whether it was the guy that brought this in for repair, who is currently owning the truck, or the owner before him, or the owner before that, because, you know, this truck was new to him. Also known as a used truck. So, some guy could have lit his radio on fire and, you know, went right ahead and sold his truck to the next sucker. Or something, who knows. People do scumbag things sometimes. Either that, or he lit his radio on fire, ran it for another 50,000 miles, and, you know, he just didn't care that it wouldn't play no music. Who knows? There's only so much you can tell about a person by, like, the thing you're repairing for him. Sometimes you can tell a lot about a person by the thing you're repairing for him. Especially if it comes out of the car. I can always tell exactly what, like, car air freshener people use when I'm repairing their stuff. Because you're, like, heat up the board and you'll just smell, oh yeah, that's, like, Little Tree's Black Ice. Or that's, the Febreze, one with the peach on it. I don't buy car air fresheners, but I know what they all smell like. I don't know. Maybe I was, like, bored in Walmart at some point in my life, and I just have automatically, like, collected, like, a dictionary knowledge what all of those things smell like. I don't know. It's like, you know how they say some people have, like, a photographic memory? Is it a thing to have, like, a photographic memory for a smell? Maybe. That's definitely how I describe myself. You pick something up, smell it once, you smell it again. You know exactly where you had smelled that before. Like, I'm that guy. Like, I remember reading in some, like, science journal or something when I was in college about, like, how scent is, like, really, really strongly linked to memory. Like, it's one of the strongest mechanisms for memory recall is scent. Ew, look at all that burnt shit. The music was probably so fire that the radio had to show it. That's right, Jad. That's right. They were listening to my mixtape or whatever, right? Where did the yeah. Oh, I threw it on the floor. Classy. So yeah, if I want to make any progress on this burnt spot, I should probably be dousing it in alcohol. Just like my brain right now. Because the more of that burnt PCB we can get away from there, the easier it's going to be to figure out if this is even possible. There it is. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah, I can kind of make out what traces were going where. So now you guys can kind of get a better look at what we're dealing with here. If I bring this nice and close, you can kind of see, you know, there's a hole burnt straight through the board. There's a couple exposed copper traces. Maybe tilt it down like this and get in here close. There we are. So yeah, this is probably going to be borderline impossible, but I'm trying anyway, because why not? Why not? I like wasting a little bit of time now and then. Let's see, you didn't reply to my answer earlier. I asked, oh yeah, the thing with multiple pressure points on like a single piece of like a conductive foam, right, yeah. Yeah, you'd definitely be looking at a custom FPC, flexible printed circuit, is what you're gonna want. So basically, you're gonna go on like PCB way or JLC PCB or something like that, and you're gonna want to design a ribbon cable that is the same size as your touchpad, right? And you're gonna want to get like, you know, that conductive foam material. And you're gonna want to put that between your FPC and like your touch plate. If you want it to be like pressure sensitive, for the pressure sensitivity only. You could also use trackpad traces. So there's like plastic that has embedded digitizer traces, like a touch screen, like a laptop trackpad has. There's plastic that you can order from like Chinese manufacturers that has those traces pre-embedded, that you can have bonded to, you know, a ribbon cable. I'm not sure how that bonding process works. I don't know if it's like they literally just leave an exposed copper wire out of the side of the plastic that you solder on, or if it's like they have a semiconductor on the edge of it, if it's like in-plane switching or something. You know, like IPS panels will have like transistors on the edge of the liquid crystal display. I don't know how that manufacturing process would necessarily work, but yeah, you're definitely going to look for a custom flexible printed circuit, and you're going to look for carbonized pads. You're looking at carbonized pads, which is what a lot of membrane buttons use. Same thing a membrane button uses. And you're going to want to have like you're going to want to make it an analog circuit, because if it's a digital circuit, you'll get false positives all the time, because there's not really a good way to make a spring between a conductive foam pad, right, and your flexible printed circuit, your ribbon cable circuit stuff. So yeah, you're gonna want a big pad of FPC. You're gonna want to run your traces in like an array with diodes, kind of like a keyboard matrix. Well, actually, maybe you can't use diodes if you wanted to do it analog. You could use diodes if you're using PWM. No, you'd probably want to use something other than diodes. Maybe you'd have to hardwire each like measurement point. Like you'd have to have like a certain resolution of measurement here, unless you did like a whole resistive trace between like one side and the other. If it was like one long resistive trace, you'd have to have a much higher voltage, which adds like a lot of engineering complexity. And then like if it's something you're touching and interacting with, that becomes a safety concern if it has to have too high of a voltage. So it's probably better to do like an array of sensitive points on that ribbon cable for what you described. Yeah, from anything further than that, I'd have to know like what the specific use case of it would be. Yes, I'm still not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Pranj? Pranj? I'm not gonna butcher it. I know I'll butcher it. Yeah, you can. Basically, you'd need this repair is a waste of time anyway. Let's talk about engineering. You'd basically need like a really big trace like this. So you'd have a trace that's shaped like this. And this entire surface, right? It's gonna have like this shape to it. And you can have like a contact, because you can like center tap these basically. And you can have a microcontroller compare A, B, C, D, and E. It can compare the resistance between this and this, and that and that. And with some pretty good firmware, you can determine where about you touched. This is kind of an inefficient design compared to like modern digitizers, because they have this times 2. So if I put away the purple Sharpie, is that even visible? Because like this is a well-lit room. Maybe if I something like that, right? But that's pretty inefficient compared to what you can do. So here in black, Expo marker, this is how a touchscreen actually works, is they have this that comes in over here and does this. Right? So they have 2 of these circuits, and between these 2 conductive traces, they have a dielectric, or a flexible layer. So when your finger's capacitance touches here, it capacitively couples this trace to this trace, and they can tell it's on this line and that line, where that capacitance is detected by a microcontroller. And there's a lot of like code smarts that goes into detecting this is an intentional touch and this is a piece of dust, right? Because you'll have these 2 traces capacitively coupled a lot by just random environmental factors like humidity or static or clothing. It has to match the capacitance of your finger, and if something like jumps between A and B rapidly, it's probably like a drop of sweat or water. There's a lot of code that goes behind filtering out junk results in this kind of circuit. But yeah, that's basically how a touchscreen works, because that's sort of what you're asking about. But you can combine this with basically a tiny load cell. You can use a convex or concave carbonized like membrane switch, similar to like a microscopic load cell. Very low voltage, very low current. I think I was using a PlayStation 2 controller as a good example of that. They have it's like a concave or convex membrane pad, like a very unique design for a conductive membrane switch, and the trace is big and thick on the board. So the resistance that you measure between the 2 sides of the trace, like it's here, I'll draw it for you. I think I showed it in one of my YouTube shorts at some point in time. I made a video about the pressure-sensitive buttons on the PlayStation 2. I did not fill that all the way up with alcohol. It's late at night. You're gonna have to excuse my poor continuity of thought here. But basically what the traces on that PlayStation button look like is like you have like your regular size wire on the flexible printed circuit, and then it comes out into like a big square, and then this is like a gradient where like this is really dark up here, and then it just kind of fades out and then starts fading in on the other side of the trace. And then like the button is conical. So when you depress it, it'll bridge here to here, but it has to go through a lot of material to get from here to here, the electrical signal. And as you depress it more, the length at which the electrical signal has to go through this like semiconductive carbon pad goes up and up and up. And since this pad here this has a very high resistance on this end and a very low resistance over here. Even though the gradient looks darker over here, this is more conductive. And this trace runs along the edge of this. So, because the membrane is concave like this, and it resists pressure, the harder you press, the lower the resistance across the circuit becomes. And you can use that as an analog input rather than a binary input. With a single tap, functionally, like to the end user, they wouldn't be able to tell that it isn't a pressure sensitive switch until you press harder. So like everyone believed, like, you know, you press the button harder in your racing games and you go faster. It was actually true. The games were coded to measure this analog signal. So there was actually something to that. Ooh, I was too zoomed in for that. I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope that answered your question about how to like detect multiple points on the same sensor with a, you know, a multiple impedance profile, because that's basically what you're looking at here is a multiple impedance profile. Like this is a this resistor, basically this conductive pad. It's also resistive, and it has basically a linear curve of like if I were to graph it, it would just be a line. Like over here, high resistance is like 100K. This is like 10 ohm. And you just graph that as an analog curve with like your whatever voltage logic bus is polling this. Anyway, that's how to solve that problem. I just did this man's engineering homework. I don't know. Either that or he's legitimately curious about how that kind of thing works. I can tell this guy probably saw my PlayStation 2 controller video. That's a very, very specific question. I have a hunch that he saw that video and wanted a little bit more information about that. Because I like, you know, it was a short video. You can't fit all that information in 60 seconds explaining like, you know, it's a resistor with like a linear resistance curve, and like there's a conical shape to the switch's membrane, so the harder you push it, the further along this pad it presses. Like, yeah, no, you can't fit all that shit into a short video. I'm just like, the harder you press, the less resistance you have, right? That's all I could fit in that video. Is this a thing on my streams now, where like somebody asks some technical question and I just turn the repair mat into a whiteboard? I guess that's a thing now. This is the third time today. I was streaming earlier today, for those of you who have been here the whole time. Anyway, I definitely take questions. This thing. I don't know about this one, man. You know, I feel like there are cooler things that are like beyond repair that I could put that level of effort into. Where my brain is at right now is I want these, because these feel really, really nice. Like these trimmers. They're like a trimmer switch. That's just satisfying as hell, man. I'm thinking harvest those. The cassette player probably works. Like the cassette reader definitely works. Those things never fail. Yeah, look at this side of the board. Like, that's all cooked in there. It's like fire damage. Man, yeah, no. Then that's the power supply section. So, like this stuff over here, save it for parts. It's all good. And that motor, probably fine. So on and so forth, but, yeah, I don't think there's a good... Well, what does that board do? It's a DC-DC converter board there. This is definitely taking a signal from some... Is that the output? It comes from up over here, so yeah, potentially. I'd have to get this torn down more to figure out what does what. This is definitely the radio area back here. That's definitely the antenna hole. Yeah, and I see some coaxial, like some old school coaxial cable back there. Yeah, let's just tear this down for curiosity's sake. See what kind of parts are in here. There might be some stuff worth saving. Definitely these fun buttons on the front. But yeah, I should probably get a hold of the customer before I just start tearing it down completely. Well, I mean, you really can't make it more broken than it already is. Not everyone's insane like me and likes keeping broken electronics around. I don't know. We won't tear it down so much that I can't put it back together. How about that? But yeah, I'm gonna have to call this customer in the morning and be like, yeah, it was all like lit in fire. I'll just send him pictures. While I'm on the phone with them, I'm like, alright, so like, this is what we're looking at. I never like to have that conversation, but it's just part of the job, you know? Like, even if I can repair this, which I might be able to, if I just really hated myself and forced myself to, like, just keep going at it. But I'm not that invested in this radio. If this was a Nintendo product, I'd go for it, you know? If it was something that, like, you know, I had some sort of sentimental attachment to, or I just especially liked, I might go down that rabbit hole. But that is definitely a rabbit hole to go down when you have a circuit board that is burnt through where you can see daylight on the other side. Yeah, you see the daylight on the other side? Right. Let's see, what's this guy saying? Henry, I wonder why my dude was the original radio repaired? It's kind of odd. Trying not to judge, but... Yeah, but you can buy an original radio. These aren't serialized. Like, this is burnt to high hell. Like, if you look at the look at the backplate, man. Like, that is gone. That is just gone. You got a hole in the board that you can see daylight through. And this isn't like, this is the main PCB. This is the hardest part to replace. If it just did the DC-DC conversion, I could replace it with like an off-the-shelf part and retrofit. So it would still be an original radio. It would just have a retrofitted power supply, right? But like, this is like the main board. There's a chance I could find this whole PCB in like a junkyard though. So that is an option on the table. I really got to talk to the customer to find out, like, is he willing to pay for that? Because my time ain't cheap. You know, if he has to pay me to travel to a junkyard for a maybe chance of finding that board, if it's that valuable to him, I will happily do that. But 9 out of 10 people aren't willing to pay that. But yeah, you're right. There are some people that really care about having the original part in the car. But when it's literally been lit on fire, you are going to pay quite a bit for that. I'll tell you that. I'm capable. It can't be that important. Yeah, this is, what's the date on this? I think it's like a 99 to 2002, Ford F-150. I saw this exact radio on eBay for about $100. So... yeah, it's not even the, I don't think it's even like the highest trim, like, cassette deck unit. Like, I think there was like there might be even like a better version of this, like, for the same year and model. Because that's something you see a lot in the automotive industry, is same year, make, and model, but like they have the higher trim or whatever, and you have a much nicer radio unit. I know that's definitely the case for my pickup, but it's a 2010. Like, my 2010 doesn't even have an auxiliary cord or Bluetooth, which for that time period was kind of irregular. That's when, like, that sort of thing was very, very much adopted into, like, what was normal for a brand new vehicle. But, like, Chevy was a little bit late to the punch with, like, auxiliary cords and Bluetooth functionality when it comes to, like, the audio systems. Well, so that's kind of at a standstill. When something's that fucked up, it's usually a pretty good idea to like, kind of set it aside and move on to the next thing. If your goal is to make money as a repair business, I still got some pretty interesting stuff though. I might take a look at this. This is a framework motherboard that was sent to me by a good friend of mine. I'm gonna have to clean up all this burnt crap and stuff off the mat so I don't get a burnt radio in this guy's laptop. That usually isn't a conversation that goes over well. It's like, oh hey, yeah, I probably could have fixed your laptop, but I got somebody's burnt radio inside it. That's never a conversation I'm going to have with a customer. Very preventable. Very preventable. This is distilled water. And this is 99% isopropyl alcohol. And outside of like a very few specific, and this is my business card. So if you guys want to just snap a screenshot or something, anything you guys have to repair, I take mail-ins. I've been repairing stuff. I mean, this is a mail-in right here. All over the country. And usually I'm a lot better at it than I'm doing right now because it's late at night and I've had a couple shots. But, that's the cool thing about owning the company. No one to fire me. Yeah, we'll see what's going on with this this motherboard. It's a Framework laptop, so if any of you guys watch Linus Tech Tips, you're probably kind of familiar with Framework, the company. And I'm pretty sure they have just straight up schematics available for these. I don't know if they're publicly posted, but Nareev, the CEO of Framework Laptop, yeah, you could just email him and be like, schematics bro, please, and he'll be like, sure, here. He's kind of a cool guy like that. Met him at Open Sauce, William Osmond's Maker Trade Show. Awesome event. If any of you guys are into like electronics and maker projects and stuff like that, Open Sauce is just like, it's something else, dude. I highly recommend going if you can ever afford it. It's like a science fair for crack-headed adults. I've never been in a room with so many like-minded individuals than when I was at Open Sauce. That was so cool. So yeah, this is a i7 framework main board from 7 of 23, made in Taiwan. I believe this one was like an RMA that he specifically asked to send to me to see if it could be repaired. And Framework support was like, cool, sure, or something like that. I'm not sure. I know the same guy and I are working on a deal to do like all of Framework RMAs or something like that. I don't know. This guy and I have been working on some repair-related ventures together. So there's the Framework main board. Got enough QR codes, Nareev? I mean, I know these are all of like the guides for how to, what those components do and how to change them and what to plug in where, but yeah, that is a lot of QR codes. Yeah. Yeah, I've never had my hands on this, the i7 framework. So let's see, what are we working with here? Let's look at this board design and see what's going on. No components under that sticker. Yeah, there's something under that memory sticker. What in the hell? That is peculiar. That is quite peculiar. It seems intentional, but peculiar. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, so... Let's see here. Okay. So Framework caps all of their vias with a solder ball, and then conformal coats that solder ball. And, like, because the board is black on, you know, black solder mask, it almost looks like somebody is, like, just taken a hot air rework station and just blasted the fuck out of some BGA chips, and they're just random balls of solder. Because the traces are so close in color to the ground plane sections that, like, you can't tell there's a via there. So it just looks like a bunch of random solder balls sitting on the board. I'm like, what? Did this thing go through an oven? No, those are all of the vias. Which, is kind of nice, because, that means you can definitely, tell where the vias are on the board, and it'd probably be pretty easy to figure out what is going where. Because I don't see... Looking at the vias on this board, it doesn't look like you're going to have a ton of blind vias. So, like, from, like, even, like, the board layout perspective, this is, meant to be easy to work on. Which is cool. That I can definitely see that. Like, you see all of this ground plane here, where there's nothing going on. Look at the other side. It's not full of components and vias in that same area, which means, you know, they're not min-maxing the space on their PCB like a lot of other manufacturers are, which makes this 20 times easier to figure out what the hell is going on with this board. Right. I presume this over here is going to be our battery connector. Fan or a speaker there on that corner. Audio. Type-C 4 display port. Okay, so this is display here. J-cam, I assume that's the camera. J-switch dual band. Is an NC connector. JPD1, not sure what that would refer to. ECD8. Those might be like for debugging, or I think they plan on not changing like the footprint of this board so that you can like easily upgrade it in the future. So like the it's probably why there's all this space here on the design, is they probably gave them some growing space. Framework Computer Inc. Well, I do immediately see what the issue probably is I do see a single spot of liquid damage on this board. I don't know if you guys can see. I need to get a microscope cam. I do have a Ko-fi if any of you want to donate or something. I don't know. Be a lot easier to show you this, but if you look right, you see where it's shining there? Single spot of liquid damage. I'm wondering if that's the issue on this board. That is the first most obvious thing I see before I even start, like, trying to power it on or poke around or anything. I can tell that, like, you know, single drop of coffee, but it's right there on some data lines. And I see that the copper is showing through the solder mask there, so that is likely to be a cause for something not to work, because that looks like an I2C line, because it's coming right off this Infineon QFN package here. And it's going back to a couple vias and probably back to the processor or a Southbridge chip. Probably a Southbridge chip, because that's probably a... Is that Infineon? Oh no, that's an Interstill chip. What is Interstill? Isn't Interstill a networking company? Oh, somebody's asking questions here. Do you have to sign a waiver for situations where there's something that... I do have a terms of service, Henry. Yeah, I do. It's pretty much like most people aren't crazy about it. You know, I don't even quote a price till I'm like, I know what the issue is. If there's something that, like, if that was a very valuable radio, like, if it were a particularly valuable item, I might have to have a conversation where it's like, hey, there's a chance this can't be repaired. You know, there's a chance I can make it worse, so on and so forth. Like, if it's something that, like, somebody might reasonably sue over, like, if it was over, say, like, I don't know, $2,000 in value. Anything over $2,000 in value, I'll get a waiver. Anything under that, like, I film all of my repairs. Like, if your thing can't be repaired, it's not my fault. If it can be repaired, I can fix it. But yeah, that's pretty much where that stands. I'm not too worried about the liability of it all, because you know, I'm kind of selective about what customers I take in, honestly. If I know somebody's going to be a problem, I just don't accept their business in the first place. I kind of have a pretty good read for that in my mind. I've definitely taken stuff in that I shouldn't before. But most people will appreciate you, like, even, like, giving some of those higher value items a look. Because a lot of repair shops won't even touch it because of the liability. Like, I've worked on some very, very expensive equipment because no one else would touch it with a 10-foot pole. Like, funny story, so, let me grab one of these. This is a good example. So this is an arcade board. This is a Galaga from Midway. So, classic arcade game, you know, little spaceships and stuff. These chips, these are the ROMs, the read-only memory. So this is where the game files are stored. This is basically like the game's hard drive, if you will, except it's read-only. So these are programmed, they're put into place, and that programming never changes, right? And you see these on a lot of older equipment, and also on a lot of industrial equipment. These stickers are actually covering up the silicone die itself. There's a little transparent window straight to the die. And if you remove that sticker and ultraviolet light gets onto that die, it erases it. So normally they're read-only, but you can erase the entire thing and reprogram it. But only by taking that sticker off and shining ultraviolet light in there. So one time, a customer brings me it's like a $30,000 gas analyzer. And when I say gas analyzer, I'm not talking about, like, gasoline analyzer. I'm talking about a landfill waste gas monitoring system. So it's monitoring things like methane and carbon dioxide. that are building up under the cap of a landfill. So it's to keep the landfill from literally fucking exploding, is what this thing does, and that's why it's so expensive. And the guy thought it was a power issue because he had replaced the battery several times and got it to kind of work a little bit here and there. Um, and I was fairly new to board repair, and I hadn't worked on a lot of stuff with older through-hole stuff. I had worked on a lot of phones. Like, my theory was really good. So I go through and I spend quite a few hours on this gas analyzer. And, like, it was a fairly simple circuit. I was able to, like, track every trace between, like, where the power comes in to, this thing should switch it, and, this activates the pump, and then that obviously is measuring gases in your gas lines and stuff. And here's a transistor that's doing this, and there's a decoupling capacitor, and so on and so forth. And like everything seemed like it was working when I powered it. Like everything, the screen would even kind of come on, and you'd press the buttons, and the screen would change a little bit. And I saw this chip on it, and it looks, something like those ROMs. And I hadn't really seen anything like it before in my life. Because, here's this chip, but it's got, like, this really shiny bit in the center, you know what I mean? Like, just purple and blue, and I'm like, wow, that's a cool-looking chip. Those must be expensive. I'd never seen anything like that, because I'd never seen a UV EEPROM with the sticker off, because I'd never reprogrammed one for any reason. I'm not a developer or anything like that. So pretty much, some millbilly got a hold of this $30,000 piece of equipment, and they were having issues with a corroded battery connector. Just a corroded battery connector. But they got real curious and started ripping stickers off on the inside for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe the sticker was a little bit yellow and they thought it looked ugly. Your guess is as good as mine. Either that or some disgruntled employee knew exactly what the fuck he was doing and wanted to sabotage it. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. But somebody had torn that sticker off, that UV EEPROM, outside, where they're monitoring the gas on the side of the landfill hill. Either that or in a building, I don't know. But he had definitely had it outside and open. Because, they use the same gas monitoring system for, like, if they're testing for a gas leak in, like, new construction industrial sites or something like that. Same system can be used. They're either, like, fixed in place at a landfill site or, like, in a factory environment where they need to, like, test to make sure, the air inside the factory or the chemical plant is safe for the workers. So contractors will come out and bring a unit like that, portable. Yeah, so somebody had opened it up, and he had definitely had it opened up in the broad daylight, and he had no idea that it was a UV EEPROM. To be fair, I didn't either, because that's kind of a very, very obsolete technology that you just don't see anymore. And, being a younger guy that's been working on phones, I didn't get into a lot of the old school technology until after I learned a lot of the new stuff, funny enough. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen, is like some guy takes the sticker off the UV EEPROM out in the middle of the daylight and just erases all of the programming to the $30,000 piece of equipment. Good luck finding that ROM dump on the forum. Do you repair phones? I repair anything with a power button, my guy. Yeah, the UV light just replaces all of the firmware on it. It just cooks everything there. So that chip is no longer programmed as soon as you shine ultraviolet light in it. I've also seen it where guys on, like, those arcade boards will get too much alcohol on those stickers, and they'll have it under fluorescent lights that put out UV, and they'll end up nuking the ROM for their arcade boards. But that's not too big of a deal, because all of those arcade ROMs you can find on the internet and just download and reprogram. It's a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong, but it's not unfixable like this gas monitor was. So yeah, sometimes stuff is just totally unfixable and there's nothing you can do about it, even if you know everything going on with the circuit, even if you're a repair god. You just can't find the firmware for that very niche piece of equipment. But I was happy to look at it, and, I didn't stop going till I was able to figure out what the fuck the problem was. And the customer that had this $30,000 piece of equipment was just happy that somebody was willing to try. Because you go into a chain repair shop, they're not going to touch a $30,000 gas monitor. Hell no. Why would they take on that kind of liability? You know, I get the guy to sign a paper. I'll give it a fair shot. I've never seen one of these things in my life, but, you know, a circuit board's a circuit board, right? Anyway, that's that story. I kind of get it now. You know, Louis Rossmann tells the same 4 stories. Like, if you watch every single one of his videos, you'll hear the same story 4 times. Well, not everyone watches every single video, and sometimes their stories are just that damn good. I keep watching, even though it's the same 4 damn stories of the month, right? And, like, the rest of the video is all about other shit. It's just, like, if he feels it's really important that you hear about that one time that one thing happened, he's gonna say it 4 or 5 times. I think I get it now. It took me a while to get that. Okay. So yeah, M.2 slot there. What did I decide that was? It says, WLAN. JWLAN. Okay. So I guess it's where the network port goes. I don't know. JSSD. JP1, which is going to be power 1. That's definitely the battery plug. J speaker, audio. Then you got these 4 type C's, which I'm pretty sure are Thunderbolt, because this is an Intel platform. Interesting that they've like laser engraved the numbers on like the tightening pattern for this heatsink. Kind of like that. That's a good touch. You can tell it's definitely lasered because there's a bit of colorization to the number there. Yeah. What do we got here? That is a Giga device. That is probably a MOSFET array there. Well, there's your CMOS battery, so that would make sense if there was a MOSFET array there. Don't recognize that tiny QFN package. Is definitely power systems. You know, a bunch of big inductors around there. That's DC-DC stuff. Really big inductor there, and some of those big caps that Apple likes. I forget what those are called, like Vanadium caps or something like that. Apple likes to use them all the time in the MacBooks and stuff. They're great for DC-DC converters and laptops, like when, you know, space is a constraint and you need high efficiency boost buck conversion. You see a lot of these. You see these on GPUs as well. What is that chip? I've never seen that chip before in my life. T9i, or TSI. Is that a 9 or an S? T91. Yeah, it's probably a PMIC of some sort. Couldn't tell you who makes it. Oh no, it says TSI. That's not a 9. TSI 97 HD 95. NDG. Oh, you know what? That might be an audio codec thing. The audio connector is right there, and the speaker connector, that's definitely an audio chip. Never mind. Don't listen to me. There's the power stuff right there. I recognize those in a heartbeat. Those are, like, multi-MOSFET packages, just like you see on, like, the PlayStation 5 DRMs. So yeah, you got, these are switching, and those are regulating. And then that's controlling. And then they're probably pumping or dumping into these inductors here. That main power, and then I guess you got more power phases that come down here with all of these inductors. Boostin' and buckin', as they say. Boostin' and buckin'. What else we got on this board? That's probably your south bridge right there. In this corner, UE1. we'll see how right I am or how wrong I am about this, because I'm pretty sure you can just ask for the schematics for these. It's got a play button on the back. This is a YouTube play button right there. I made an NBA Jam arcade ROM hack, and people started selling EPROMs of your hack. Damn, that sucks. Yeah, if you make something that cool, you gotta just sell it on eBay yourself. Otherwise, somebody will steal it, yeah. That's kind of how it goes. See, the problem was you made it too damn fun, I guess. Right? And like I said, reprogramming ROMs is a pain in the ass. No one wants to do it. But if you get paid to do it, you'll do it, right? You're either like a very passionate developer that wants to make a cool ROM hack, or, you know, there's money in it for you, right? Let's see, what else are we looking at on this board? Another Intel. A bunch of Intel BGA chips. I'm pretty sure those are going to be like your, there's one there, there's one there. There's one, okay, so those are definitely, the chips that are deciding what these, Type-C ports are going to be doing, because, they support, like, pretty much any connector, so they have to have some smarts attached to them. That's probably basically USB, PMIC kind of stuff, power management and device management, saying, hey, I'm an audio device now. Hey, I have a display output. I'm an HDMI jack now. That's probably very much what those VGA chips are, because there is one for each port. The model is an X125C143 from Intel. I'm sure you look up the datasheet. I'm probably right about that. Just makes sense, because like there is literally one for each of these USB ports, so. Is that a Qualcomm chip? Part number is so hard to read on the thing. I don't see a manufacturer mark. But another, it says PQ1240. I'll just look at the schematic when we get there. Look at the impedance matching on those traces there. You see, like those little squigglies right there next to that inductor? It's impedance matching. Either that or they're test pads for the impedance matching or something like that. But whenever I see a wiggly little trace like that, I think, yeah, impedance matching. Because there's no other reason to make your traces wiggle like that. It's kind of so that, like, all the traces that are doing a similar function are the exact same length, even though they go to physically different places. You see that a lot in RAM circuits, is like the traces between the RAM and the CPU. Some of them will be straight shots and others will wiggle, and it's so that they're all the exact same length, so that you can get really tight timings on a lot of different pins at once. Because it takes time for electricity to move through a wire. And the longer the wire, the bigger the resistance. Yeah, I have to say, I'm fairly impressed with this board design of the Framework laptop. It's definitely very modern, and it's clear that they aren't taking any sacrifices in like the level of technology they have on these boards to have fully modular ports, very repairable, you know, modular RAM, upgradable, expandable storage. Yeah, they're not making any compromises in the tech department. This looks like, board design-wise, comparable to, like, a MacBook Pro in, like, you know, what technologies are they utilizing? The space efficiency, this could be slightly smaller, but I think they did that intentionally. so that the boards all stay the same size through the next however many generations they decided to support this size board, so that when your laptop gets old and slow, instead of replacing the whole laptop, you can just get a board like this, you know? Is the whole idea there. Is everything's modular, and it's all usable, user configurable. So if you decide you want a different keyboard, you can get a different keyboard or whatever. Is kind of the idea there. Yeah, because I have that one little, like, obvious liquid damage spot, and just that one dot. I don't see a single sign of liquid damage anywhere else on this board. Like, maybe a single drop of coffee made it through the keyboard or something. I'm probably gonna yeet this bitch into the ultrasonic cleaner and just give it a good buzz, and that might just fix it. Probably ultrasonic and test. It's the one with Michael Jordan in it. Oh, dope. I can't say I'm familiar. I'm just not that not that familiar with all the different arcade cabinets. I have like my favorites and my staples. If I'm ever in an arcade, those are the ones I've kind of spent my time in. I haven't broadened my horizon very much. When arcades were like a super popular thing, I was not alive. So I'm kind of like just riding the wave of people about 10, 15 years older than me that have a ton of nostalgia for that. And those people aren't old enough that they're no longer cool to me, right? When I was at that age where I was, you know, developing preferences and stuff. They're just old enough to be like ahead of you in life, but not old enough that they're cooked, right? So I like a lot of those retro games and stuff like that. Especially like the really late 80s, early 90s stuff. Your cool older cousin played this and that arcade game when they were younger, and they remember it fondly, so it's automatically cool to you, right? I don't know. I feel like arcade cabinets are just a unanimously cool thing to any generation. Like, even like little Fortnite Zoomers that have like severe, uncurable TikTok brain rot will like look at an arcade and be like, "That's cool, shiny lights, pretty buttons, video game," you know? It might be like just a unanimously cool thing, I don't know. Yeah, to be really familiar with a ton of different arcade games, I would have to, you know, like leave the house or something. Leave the house and not be going outside to do like tree hugger shit. That's something I used to do quite a bit of, is quote unquote tree hugger shit. I went to school for tree hugger shit. Anyway, fuck, what time is it? Oh, it's 2:30 in the morning. I need some sleep. Like, I got fucking nothing done today because I was on here till 4 in the morning last night. So yeah, I think this might just be like a single coffee stain kind of deal. You know, iFixit and Framework both use the same, like, cardboardy stuff in their shipping. Is that just like the trendy tech company shipping padding is like this perforated cardboard stuff? Is that just the move today? Might be. So yeah, that was the Framework laptop board. When I have had more sleep and less alcohol in my system, we'll definitely be repairing that. Any questions before I go? I'll hang out instead of just saying, yeah, I'm out and leaving like I usually do. Yeah, I'll take one or two more questions before I go. If any of you have anything that's kind of kicking around in the back of your brains. No questions for any of you guys? Oh, here's one. Are you familiar with Apple SCI hard drive from 1993? No longer works and I want some data off it. Are you familiar with these types of hard drives? Yes, I am familiar. I do not have the clean room to open that sort of thing. I definitely know a couple hard drive data recovery places that are excellent, that I would highly recommend. There's a place that's local to me that I use for my local customers. As far as mail-in repair, though, Rossmann Repair Group are great. Yeah, Chris over at Rossmann Repair Group, Lewis Rossmann's company, he is excellent with the open platter recoveries. I've seen him do some crazy stuff. And you know they've got the clean room hood thing going on over there, so they've got a spot for that. I have a fume hood sitting in my living room that I have yet to install over here on this side of the lab. It's more of a matter of like just cleaning all the junk off my workbench. Yeah, highly recommend Rossmann Repair Group. Tell them I sent you. Any other questions before I go? Oh, and Demigod X, Rossmann Repair Group is definitely the best place you could possibly send any repair that they do. So MacBooks and hard drive data recovery, iPhones and iPads is kind of their thing. They're just about the best in the nation for those things, but the wait time might be pretty high. Can you fit a CRT into a arcade one-up cabinet? Yeah. Definitely. They make CRTs that are like 2 inches by 2 inches. I don't know I have no reference for how big a one-up arcade cabinet is, but as long as it's got a screen that's bigger than 2 inches by 2 inches, and I think the driver is about that big on some of those mini CRTs. I see them now and then on like Facebook Marketplace for like $10, $15, 19, 20 inches. Oh yeah, there are 14, 15-inch tubes for arcades. But yeah, I can definitely do that. I don't know if you watched the stream earlier, but we were actually just recapping this CRT here. This is a saying Outrun CRT. It's where did I set down that driver board? I might have put it up on a shelf somewhere. Keep it safe. Oh no, it's right there next. It's right there on the floor. I put it on the floor. I should probably put that somewhere where it will not get damaged. It does make sense to keep it near the thing that it goes to, right? But like, if I leave it on the floor there, I'm gonna ruin it. Put it up there where it won't get hurt. Yep. Well, that's all the fuel I got in the tank for tonight, guys. If you watch the VOD, the start of this stream is kind of amusing. For those of you who have been watching the VOD, thank you for sticking around for 2 hours listening to me yap. And as always, you guys, have a good one. Take good care of yourselves. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.